Ladies, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today at this World Women's Leadership for the Post-COVID-19 Era. This video conference will look at how amplified women's voices from across the world can set the pathway towards generation equality, where women's leadership is no longer an exception, but the norm, learning from the COVID-19 experience to build back better. The pandemic has been a catalyst for transformation, giving people worldwide a chance to unleash their creativity and experiment with new ways to live, to learn, to work, and to play. During this conference, we have speakers from different parts of the world sharing the most up-to-date information about the impact of coronavirus on their industry, business, and health at large. This discussion will also explore the impact of COVID-19 on women's economic empowerment and how projects, organizations, and the society at large are responding to these challenges in practical ways. The participants will share insights about how they are adapting their projects, approaches, and tools in response to the COVID-19 crisis and what they see as emerging lessons learned and good practices. Ladies, thank you very much for your participation. I hope you're all doing great.
Yes, thank you.
So thank you for your presence. Hi, hello Sophia, hello Carine, Priya, Joshna, Coretta. Our first speaker comes from the United States of America. Coretta Leonard Doctor is a professional public speaker, author, disabled U.S. Army veteran, business strategist, and 29-year career woman in the field of government and commercial contracts. Coretta graduated from Wade-Hampton High School in Hampton, South Carolina in 1988. Joining the United States Army in 1991, she enrolled in college and earned a college degree in accounting, a second degree in business management, and is set to receive her third college degree in international business. Coretta is a master negotiator and business coach. Socially, she is the people whisperer, creating strong business connections and instituting a culture of positive team building and esprit de corps in all of her endeavors. Coretta is an active field advocate for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, also known as the AFSP. She enjoys photography, world travel, dancing, and cooking. She travels the world speaking to adults and children about living their best life and provides tips, resources, and coaching to help people reach their professional and personal goals in life. Coretta focuses on positive messages, and her speaking topics are primarily on mental health, social wellness, and personal development and growth. Coretta is the founder of Communique magazine, an international publication launched this summer 2020. She has one daughter, Brittany Alana Janai Cowart, and is the grandmother of 5 little angels. Coretta resides in Florida. Coretta, thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Carine, and hello to my fellow panelists today. This is wonderful, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone on this platform and to all of those that will be viewing us. I want to start by saying that 2020 was a big year. I won't say profoundly that it was a bad year because there was some good. There were some things that came from 2020 that were lessons that will always be applied to our lives. Although we would like to forget that 2020 ever happened, as we move forward in life, we will never be able to erase the entire episode that came with 2020. So in business and in our professional lives, it is just a part of what we're going to have to learn to adapt to and move forward. COVID-19 and everything associated to it affected me personally because I was put in a situation where I had to determine how I would continue my business. My business was popularly known as a global traveler that went to various countries to interact, meet, and grow my network with people in different places that had the similar outlook on business. In fact, that is how I met Dr. Carine in Birmingham, England last year, along with several others that are on this panel. And one of the things that really I had to learn how to do, and I had to learn it quickly, was how do I continue to inspire, educate, encourage, and simply be friends with people that I won't get to see for quite some time due to the restrictions in place between our countries. So the idea to create a vessel for me to still be able to share some light of positivity was to create a magazine. So my business pivoted from me standing in a room, talking to people, inspiring and encouraging and sharing my testimony of things that were all useful to the listeners. I now had to figure out, how do I continue that? So the magazine allows me to not only share from my perspective various topics of leadership, of business, of health, wellness, and social activity, it allows me to invite friends from around the globe to also share those same exact sentiments. And so with that, I celebrated my launch in July of 2020, right in the middle of the toughest time that some of us can finally say, whoa, it's almost behind us. But for me, I can say, I'm really glad that I had the time to sit still and create such a tool that will not go away, even when I can travel again. So that's my personal impact from the COVID-19. In my country here in the United States, we have a very, very amazing woman that has now stepped into a role of leadership. Kamala Harris has now become an amazing person for us to look at, from any race, from any age, from any particular culture or background. We have Kamala Harris to stand in front of our globe as the Vice President-elect for the United States. And we are so proud of Kamala and all women who stepped into new positions this year. We obviously are celebrating Kamala because she is a huge position. It's a first for her, it's a first for us. And along with her, there are many women that have done new things now that would have never been done before. Unfortunately, in the United States, we have had some very difficult things happening, such as racial injustice, that somehow has forced people to say, we're going to make a difference, we're going to make a change. And the flip good side to that is that there are people of color, people of different nationalities and religion that may not have even seen those opportunities come to the forefront for them if they were not forced at the hands of people who are now in positions to say, we're going to make a difference. So I think that during these uncertain times, women versus men, men versus women really is not the total issue. It is all about the substance of the person. So this 2020 has allowed people to sit still and to not just look at the color of their skin, the titles of their jobs, or the positions that they hold, or even the cities that they're in. It has given us an opportunity to clearly identify the soul, the meaning, the path forward, the ideas of the person. What are they going to do for our country when they're in these roles of leadership as women? Now, women has had to come forward in a way that they have not had to come forward before. They have had to show us their strength in a way where it just wasn't present before, because this COVID-19 situation did not impact men only. It did not impact women only. So where there was an opportunity to succeed, women and men had to step forward. I'm proud to say that I saw a lot of creative thinking during this process. This crisis has pulled it out of everyone. Children became crafty. They became technology savvy. The elderly had to become technology savvy. They had to find ways to communicate differently. People who were living in the same household who didn't have to talk to each other now had to find ways to communicate. Communication is the root of all things. So when we look at the psychological effects of COVID-19 on people, we have to say that it's not all bad because it taught us some things. It taught us to look into ourselves, look into the soul of the people that are living side by side with us, our neighbors, our partners in business. We could not survive if we did not take a closer look at the people that we have to interact with. Having said that, I think that business practices and strategies were definitely changed, but they really remain the same. The difference is we're no longer looking at just the business, we're now looking at the people behind the business. Because as you can tell, business goes away, but people stay. So when the people stayed, they had to find a way to continue. They had to find a way to continue to grow not only the business in a different way, but to grow their friendships, to grow their partnerships, to come together as mergers. They now see how they need each other. Whereas before you could sprout up a new business, you didn't have to think twice. Now today you have to have different things in place. You have to have methods of technology, methods of communication. You have to have safety practices. You have to consider that everyone who's involved in your world now has something else on their mind. You have to have a caring heart. You have to be more aware that it's not just get up, go to the office and come home. It's now maybe they're at home and their office has become home, and you have to be sensitive to the fact that people have families and that the way that you're going to communicate and do business in the future is going to be different. It doesn't have to stop. If you had a business that had to completely stop, you can't blame it on COVID-19. You have to look at why. Why did it stop? You have to look at where is your opportunity to change? If you know that COVID-19 stopped you, there was something that was missing. There was something, because COVID-19 actually gave you time to take what you had and grow it. It didn't tell you to stop it. If you stopped it, look at why. So as we move forward, for me, I'm taking my magazine and I'm taking all the opportunities that come along with it and I'm sharing it. Same as I was doing standing in front of a room of people. I share my platform to others because that's what networking is about. When you can't stand in front of a room of people, you send ahead your message. In this way, I have a digital platform that I share. I only cover stories of positivity. You will never pick up a copy of my magazine and read a heartbreaking story that has such damaging psychological effect on you that you can't get over it. That's not what I do. Surely there's a journalist person out there that focuses on that, but my focus is on what's the good news. How does that good news apply around the world? And let me be the one to share it and invite others to be a part of your good news. So for me, I have to say 2020 was hard. I couldn't see my grandchildren, and I have a new one. She's 1 year old. She was born just before the pandemic, so it was very difficult. However, I will say that it was also a time that I learned that what I was doing in person was right, because I was able to continue it even without seeing someone, all of the people that I wanted to see. You know, it's like they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And if they love you in person and they love you in your absence, then certainly the love is real. Well, that's how I feel. I don't feel like I lost friends or business. I don't feel like I lost me. I think that I have grown myself so that there's more of me to share with people in business that need the encouragement, that need the foundation to share, that need a place that they can come to and say, here I am, how can you be of service to me? And that's what I am. How can I be of service to you and you and you and you? And that's what we have to do. So finding a way to smile at the end of 2020 shouldn't be so hard. Look at yourself. You're still fabulous. You're still amazing. And you still have the talent that you had before this started. You just have to show it in a different way now. So for Kamala Harris and all the other women leaders, including myself, we have to celebrate. We have to celebrate every little thing. We have to celebrate the smallest of small, because in the end, it's all the same. It just looks and feels different. So I tell you, Dr. Carine, and all of the people on the panel today, I thank you. I thank you. And I hope that however this world carries us about, that I'm able to share my platform with each of you for the good of everything that you do and for those that follow you too. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. It's been amazing.
Thank you very, very much, Coretta. Thank you for this empowering speech. And actually, I'll tell you something. You already mentioned two things, two questions, specific questions I personally had for you. The first one, yes, I know that you travel to different areas of the world, and I know that many borders, international borders, are actually closed. But I've also seen on your social media pages that you've been moving a lot across the United States, and my first question was like, how different is traveling now during this pandemic crisis within the United States? Is there more fear of traveling somehow?
I am an Army veteran and I see the world a little differently. I am more, I take more risks, I'll put it that way. But I operate in the politics of science, if that makes sense. I listen and I learn. And so I protect myself and those around me. And that's what's the difference. People who are traveling and not thinking about those around them, that's causing the issue. But it is different. You must plan ahead and you must know every step you're going to take from the time you walk out your door until the time you walk back into a door. You must be careful because you don't know. It's the unknown. So it's different. It is quite different. I recently started moving around again, only in the last 2 or 3 months, only because I have to find a way to stay balanced. I have to find a way to get out and see, how can I make a difference? I didn't feel like it was a risk for me to move about, but when I do feel that, based on the science, I stop. So.
Yes, okay, thank you. And something else, of course, we can't do a conference without mentioning Kamala Harris. Come on. I had this quote in mind. Every little girl watching tonight sees that this is a country of possibilities. And we all know that Kamala Harris is the first, let's say, colored woman, the first Indian American, and only the third woman in the U.S. History to be nominated as a vice presidential candidate for a major party. And we know that overall women they remain underrepresented in political leadership, according to the United Nations. And I think that just 21 women today serve as heads of state. So I think you answered that question already, but just to be sure, what kind of change could Kamala Harris bring to US politics as vice president?
So definitely, number one, she's going to bring the change of hope. She is going to inspire hope in various women and men, okay? Men are now believers in a whole different thing because Kamala Harris is going to bring it. She has demonstrated her strength in her previous career as a woman in leadership in the state of California. And now on the global platform, she's going to change lives, not just for women, not just for women of color, but for everybody who has to lay eyes on her and the work that she's going to do. It's not going to be, let's all wear a skirt because Kamala Harris is there. It's now, let's all be strong and get educated and inspired and learn more about the position of the vice president, because it's important. It's important that we understand her role so that we can shout her on and support her and follow her politics and provide education to those who don't understand the importance of her role.
Thank you very much. And the third question, The third question is something that you mentioned as well, because unfortunately, we've all seen what was happening in the United States, and I personally feel really sorry about this. And we all know that when we talk about women leadership, we link it to compassion, adaptability, resilience, and it has always been said that these are traditionally viewed as sort of soft power skills, soft power traits. But do you think, and I think that you've already mentioned that, do you think that there's a shift in focus now, not just in the US, but globally, those are traits that are essential for any leader, not just women, but for women and men in the top job? And I think that you just answered that. Those were my three questions, actually. Yes. So I think that, yes, you would like to say something about these traits, soft power traits. I think that this was something missing lately in managing the events that happen in the United States.
Yeah, I think so. You need a compassion. You need a certain level of compassion that women bring to the table. I mean, it's just who we are as people. And in this time, especially this time, we need compassion along with education and titles and roles. We need the heart of the people to be heard and seen. And we also, most importantly, need the heart of the leaders to be shown. We need to see what's inside their hearts.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Coretta. I don't know if anyone else has a comment or question for Coretta. No? Thank you. That was a very empowering speech, Coretta. Thank you for being part of my life.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're going to move with our next speaker, Priya Patra. Priya, thank you very much for joining us tonight. So Priya is the program manager of Capgemini. She's mother of two, author, blogger, women empowered believer, dreamer, creator, and a futurist. An Agile evangelist and a program manager spearheading digital transformation, digital quality assurance, and quality engineering program for large conglomerate in life sciences domain. She leads Agile community of practice within the organization of 546 members across 40 countries, evangelizing Agile practices across all levels in the organization. Priya is a speaker for both national and international conferences on IoT, Agile, and project management. Since January 2020, she has been building a women community known as the Women Power Up Network, which is a virtual community of around 450 women across the globe. Priya is also a faculty member of the PM Circle, which is a unique community of project leaders, agilists, coaches, and consultants, a circle of competence, knowledge, and unique global perspectives. When she's not working, she dreams about the future of work and its impact on projects. Priya, good evening, namaskar, and welcome.
And thank you. Thank you, Karen, for inviting me. It's so amazing. I'm so amazed by what Dr. Coretta just said. And, I'm just going to narrate how 2020 has changed my life. So when we walked into 2020, we thought it is a 2020, 20 by 20 vision. Little did we know this is going to change everything, right? And it started with this year has been very, very special. Yes, rightfully said. It has been year of surprises, year of natural disasters. It started with the bushfire, cyclones, and we had multiple cyclones over here. And last but not the least, the great COVID-19. And I think we, not only women, right? Both men, women, children, young, old, entire humanity stood tall and found opportunities in adversity. And for me, I think it was a year of learning. And not only learning, it was unlearning some old ways that I thought was the right thing to do. And relearning, reinforcing something which I already knew. So for me, it was more of a year of learning, unlearning, as well as relearning again. So I just remembered a quote while Dr. Coretta was, talking, and I did Google this to be true, to be honest. Uh, it is a quote by Alvin Toffler, the futurist and the philosopher, who said, "The illiterate of the 21st century is not the one who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." So I think that's with that. I will start how year 2020 has been for me. I think it was a new beginning, a new way of working with complex issues. I'm a program manager, as Dr. Karen said, and I think projects become very complex for us because of this dynamic, different, budget cuts, different new ways of working, teams getting dispersed, diverse, and above all, virtual. I think as leaders, forget men as well as women both, leaders had to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And I think that was the biggest learning for me, how to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So, what did I learn in 2020? First of all, I learned how to invoke the entrepreneur in myself. I'm not an entrepreneur, but I work in an organization, and people think that working in an organization, you would probably have to work within boundaries, right? But you can still be innovative, and we had lots of opportunities in 2020. The fact that on March 22nd, I would say 21st, as I switched off the alarm and thinking that I will get a couple of more hours to sleep in the morning rather than getting up at 6:30 and going for work, I was very happy that night. Little did I know that, what's going to come along my way for the last 9 months. And I've been within these four walls for the last 9 months. I just stepped out once because I'm very scared of the infections, and I feel that I have a, weak immune system. So I'm taking all the precautions that I can, and I'm staying beyond this four walls. But does that mean that I've constricted myself within this four walls? Well, not at all. For me, I have kind of reached out to so many conferences. I've spoken in so many places as a public speaker. I will say around like 20 countries now. And everywhere I go to speak, I meet people from different cultures. And that's given me so much learning. That's something that I learned. I learned new ways of working. I learned to become more innovative, right? While I was settling down in this lockdown period for the first 2 months, and trying to stabilize my work, my projects, because my team suddenly became remote, I started finding out new ways how to engage them. And I know this has been a very hot topic. How do you engage your team members, your virtual team members? I learned new ways of trusting them, understanding. And mind you, I knew that, I always thought I needed people right next to me, because I always believed in face to face communication and kind of talking to them on a personal level. But yes, 2020 just changed all those learnings that I heard. I learned how to find out innovative ways, invoke the entrepreneur in myself, and be the change that I would want to see in my teams, right? And not only for my teams, but also extended teams, because there have been projects we were very complex and we didn't know. There were people who were not even reporting to me, but I had to get them engaged. So I would say I learned number one, how to invoke the entrepreneur within myself, working within the boundaries of the organization, but yet being innovative and bring about the change for not only for yourself, but for the others around you. Yes, that has been my first learning. Second, what I learned is to strengthen my relationships. Yes, I have been working for years now, say 20 years. Yes, and always in complex projects and critical projects. I spend most of my time in office, and I had hardly few hours with my children, my kids, right? And over the weekends, I would spend time shopping, and just as all women do, right? Go to the gym, go to the beauty parlor, or do some shopping and stuff like that. With the lockdown, I had no other option but to stay at home and work on my relationships with my kids. I learned so many new things. I learned, to kind of compromise. I think I was, um, I learned it is better to bend than to break, right? I learned that the life is so short. So why not forgive? Be a little more accommodative with your, people with whom you are staying. And I have not spent so much time with my kids ever in my entire life. And this was the time that I thought I should, kind of become more close to them, and that strengthened my relationships. And the, and that had a big effect on the teams that I was working also with. Because if your personal relationships are strong, I think it makes an impact on your teams as well. Each of us are unique. I learned how to respect the differences and never repent. And I think I also developed mutual respect for each other, for my kids, for my family, and also for my teams. Two things I learned, as I said, yeah, I started becoming more innovative, invoke the entrepreneur. I didn't have any option. I had to do this. And I learned how to strengthen my relationships. Uh, but unlearned also a few things. I unlearned that, face to face talking, meeting is the best way to create relationships. Yes, that was something that I unlearned. It was like a reality check for me. I learned the assumption that if you're working from home and if your kid comes into your conference call, it is not a problem. It is about placing your life over your work at the center of priorities. And before COVID, I don't think I did that. But as a women leader, as during the COVID, I thought, life is so precious. It is so small. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So why not make the most of it? So that's some of the established assumptions that I learned during the COVID period. I also unlearned that people, to manage people, you need them to be next to you. You can also trust people who are not next to you, and that has given me so much opportunities, so much possibilities of expanding my team all across the globe. Now we don't even think about location. We just say, yeah, get the right skill at the right place at the right time, and that's how I've been able to build an innovative team. uh, I always thought, social media, Facebook, and technology is intrusive to life. But look at now, we need technology and see how technology is helping us to communicate with so many wonderful women on this video conference today, right? And yes, and also I always thought that my organization, yes, it's just a relationship of work and give and take. But yes, we saw how organizations have started to care for their employees. uh, we were always told to take a check for our health check for our team members, whether they're doing good or there are some problems in their family. And accordingly, my organization was extending help to people. These are this is something that I unlearned. I also relearned a few things. I relearned that the that purpose why I am there today is very, very important. Because I truly believe that that people, those who have a purpose, have a passion in life, can be very, very resilient. And that's what I tried. I relearned that the power of purpose, and I relearned how to learn new things. And believe me, I relearned so many things during this COVID period. I was from a technology background, but still there were so many new things to learn. How to communicate with your customers, how to communicate with your stakeholders effectively in the virtual mode. That is something which I relearned. I knew we used to have video conferences, but not at this level. Once in a while we used to go and meet them as well, and here we are doing everything virtual. So I relearned how to bring in the purpose in your teams, in yourself, and thereby find out your passion. And just to let you know, as I said, I spoke in so many conferences, and I spoke about leadership in COVID era. And I also wrote down, anecdotes, my experiences in a diary, which I called it as a lockdown diaries of a project manager. What did I learn? How did I engage my teams? And those are the things that I went and spoke to, people over the, across the globe. I also thought of, I also wrote about stuff like, how projects will be in the future. Like right now, we think that everyone is remote, but after COVID, some amount of remote will still continue to work, while some people will still be working from office. That means we are looking at a hybrid team. So I started thinking, and as a futurist, I started imagining how our teams will be, and what are the new things that I have to work on, what are the principles, guiding principles that I should have. And I presented that in multiple conferences again, just to kind of, and I get feedback that people are finding it helpful. And that is a purpose that I'm talking about, and purpose of understanding the situation and adapting to yourself. And last but not the least, I relearned being agile is a winner. So the fact that we have to just to do a overnight digital transformation, start working from home, having suddenly it is a change in lifestyle, kids are at home, learning online, things like maids are all gone. That was a big setback for us, because in India we are used to household maids who would do the take care of the cleaning and washing. Suddenly all that support was gone, and I had to take care of everything myself. I became very, very self reliant. So I think year 2020 has been a year of learning, unlearning as well as relearning a couple of things that I spoke about. And I think it has strengthened me as a person. And if I am strengthened as a person, I am able to bring about those learnings to my teams as well. So it has been an immense year. And I look forward to, 2020, 2021 to be more, to be more full of opportunities. And um, and I, I'm really happy that that this year is coming to an end, but also happy that this year has given me a lot of opportunities for learning, unlearning as well as relearning. So I would like to know what you as panelists have learned and unlearned and relearned. I think that is something that we can bond together or connect together as a common thread. I think everyone has learnings. So I would like to know from any one of y'all that how you have adapted yourself. What have you learned, unlearned, and relearned? I know Dr. Coretta already said she learned many new ways of working, technology, etc. Uh, and I'm very, very interested and very, very looking forward to hearing such learnings from my fellow panelists as well. So over to you, Dr. Karen Ferreira.
Thank you very much, Priya. I'll tell you, just before moving to your question about learning, what you've said is that while the pandemic definitely has brought its challenges, it has been also a catalyst, from what I understand, for transformation and change, and thus giving people and organizations worldwide a chance to unleash their creativity and experiment like yourself. So I think that before the pandemic, everyone wanted to innovate, but now everyone needs to innovate. Like the need has never been more relevant, and resilient organizations don't stop innovating. So my question for you, does that require a new mindset of being an innovator?
Does that require a mindset?
A new mindset
Yeah,
of
of
being an
course.
innovator?
So innovation is a mindset change. Creativity can be invoked, and that's why we need leaders like these wonderful ladies here who can work with their teams to ensure that mindset change comes in. So we are human beings, we like to work like robots. Whatever we have is fine, but change is difficult, and innovation is nothing but bringing in that change, the creative change for good. So it requires a mindset change.
And I know that you've been participating in different conferences. And do you see a synergy in terms of how the companies and people you collaborate with are focusing on innovation?
Yes, yes, of course. There is no option now. You have to be creative and innovative. So we are, it's. I will say you, COVID was like, earlier we used to bring in change and innovation, and we used to, as a organization culture, we were told to be innovative, bring about something new. But now there is no option. It has been, you have to be innovative to survive. So that's, I see that synergy in every, organization that I talk to, including my organization, plus those, women who are there on my community. I see they are so creative, so innovative, and COVID has brought all this change. So I think COVID is a catalyst for all these new good things that are happening today. Yeah.
All right. So I personally truly believe that the biggest lesson this pandemic brought to the fore in terms of the criticality of a culture of innovation is that not only creativity, innovation, and experimentation have been remarkably high in various organizations and industries, but the pandemic has also shed a light on what can be improved. And I think that we've learned how, and we've learned that we can turn these problems into opportunities for innovation, right?
And Dr. Karen, I saw so many wonderful pictures on Facebook of the beautiful dishes that you created. And you are innovative, especially the one in the pineapple. That was so yummy. You have been very innovative, yes.
Yeah, I've discovered that as well, the talent. Thank you very much, Priya. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. Does anyone has a question or comment for Priya? No? Coretta,
Yeah, Dr. Coretta.
please.
I just want to tell you that I was taking notes because I suddenly found some new inspiration from you that I didn't expect. And I want to tell you thank you. Number one, I want to just say two of them. Leaders have to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Yes, that is something that many of us think once you learn the lesson, you never forget it. Believe me, this was so profound. Thank you. I love this. Leaders have to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And then I like better to bend than break. Thank you. It's a reminder that it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to lean a little bit to a direction that maybe you wouldn't have done in the past. So thank
Yeah.
you for that. I
I
really
would
appreciate
never
that.
do that in the past. Trust me. And COVID has changed me. Because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's better to bend. Yeah, I felt that way. Thank you.
Thank you very
Yes,
much,
please,
ladies.
Karen.
Thank you very much, Priya. And Karen, yes, please.
Okay. I found your talk, as I did with Coretta's, absolutely amazing. I keep a blog as well. And what I think in 25, 50, 100 years' time, we're leaving a bit of social history, what it was like as a woman living through the pandemic. And you thinking about 100 years' time, they'll be watching all these blogs and vlogs and reading diaries online, and they will see that women were very brave and strong, and we coped because we had no other option. You could either sit and cry and just don't do anything, or you could see it as an opportunity for change and regrowth. And what you said, it is about learning and relearning constantly. So I really enjoyed your talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies. So we move now with our next speaker, Karen.
This is sneak up. Oh, go to the supermarket. Oh.
So our next speaker, Karen Elizabeth Becknell, comes from the United Kingdom. Karen is a brave, strong, determined woman battling cancer and 2 benign brain tumors. Earlier this year, during the COVID-19 pandemic, she's had 7 months of chemotherapy while in remission from bowel cancer, added with second round of cancer test scans in New Year. This year, Karen turned 50 and graduated from Coventry University, September 25, 2020, BA Honours Sociology. Carine is currently training to be a broadcaster and journalist at NCTJ Journalism College, and she is doing a media production course at Oxford Home Study College. Carine is the 2019-2020 Breaking into News Media Trust in partnership with ITV News, regional winner for ITV Central News, England. She is among 12 people in the UK to be chosen as the next generation of future broadcasters and journalists. She had her local news reporting, her training with ITV News, notably in Leeds and London, and finally a work placement with ITV Central News. Via the Journalism and Media Production Online College, Carine has also training with the BBC. Her motto, "Having cancer doesn't define me. Being Carine defines me." Carine is an inspirational woman who raises public awareness and educates people about living with cancer, wearing a colostomy bag and having 2 benign brain tumors. Carine also does a cancer awareness online course with Bridgewater and Taunton College. She is as well a media volunteer with the Brain Tumor Charity Cancer Research UK, Macmillan Cancer Care. Additionally, she writes for cancer online magazines. In her spare time, Carine likes creative writing and is a keen poet. She loves going to historical pubs, inns, restaurants with her family and friends. She enjoys photography and video making. Carine did 30 years in travel and tourism in the UK and in Europe. Please welcome Miss Carine Bagnall.
Oh, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and it's a great honor. This is probably my first motivational speaking part, so a little bit nervous, but also very excited. Okay, 2020. For me personally, it feels like I'm in a very bad nightmare and I'm going to wake up and it's going to be probably the year 2017 and they're going to say to me, "Carine, you don't have cancer. Carine, you don't have benign brain tumors. Carine, what's COVID? Why are you so obsessed with sanitizing your hands and wearing a mask? What are you on about? What is COVID? Carine, you're leading a normal life. What are you worrying about?" That's how it feels, that I'm going to wake up one day and this will all be a bad nightmare. And I never went to university. I didn't get into media. I never ever had cancer and I'm still doing my job. 30 years in travel and tourism. As you probably know now, travel and tourism, it doesn't exist. A lot of my friends that are flight attendants are working in care homes. A lot of my friends that are pilots are having to work in supermarkets. My friends that work on the cruise ships, they're struggling to find work because the industry has just gone. And I had 30 years of the best times in travel and tourism and traveled all over Europe and the United Kingdom. So yeah, like I said to you, it feels like a bad nightmare, or it feels like a parallel universe. There's 2 Carines. There's Carine here in this nightmare, and there's Carine still plodding on, basically having a normal life. And I'm a working class girl from a very poor background, didn't do very well at school. So how come I went to university, got a degree in sociology? Okay, it took me 2 years to spell sociology correctly. Psychology, you've got no chance. I wouldn't be able to spell that. How come I end up in media as well? Because again, girls like me don't end up in media. And how the hell did I get cancer? I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 48. I got cancer because my family has a long line of people that have sadly passed over, predominantly from bowel cancer and brain tumors. and this has been going on since the 1950s and 60s. This year, we lost 3 uncles, all linked to cancer. There's 3 of us in my family, all women, that are classed as advanced cancer, terminally ill. So I suppose it's in your genes, isn't it? You know, it's there in your family history, and you just have to accept it. I'm going to break my journey into 3 sections to make it easier. We're going to have the university section and how COVID affected me, the cancer section, and then lastly, the media one. Okay, uni. Like I said, I had no intention of going to uni. It just happened. I fell into it. I had the best 3 years of my life. Halfway through, I was diagnosed with cancer, but I still plodded on, still did my lectures and my seminars, even when I was having surgery in hospital. When I came round and when I was able to basically focus again, I was in hospital bed, writing essays, doing projects, reading my sociology books, and I was in hospital for 2 weeks. And I think my studying kept me sane whilst I recovered from having bowel surgery, and also from having to wear a colostomy bag, which is a little bag you wear because basically, without getting too technical, you can't, let's use the word poo, you can't poo the normal way. Instead, they put a little hole in your tummy, and then you have the bag, and that's basically what you do, because your bowels have been removed, half your rectum, and unfortunately on the operating theatre, my cancer did spread. But as Carine said, it doesn't define me. I'm still Karen. Looks like the cancer spread again to another part of my body, which might mean wearing another bag for the wee, because I've got huge problems with my bladder at the moment. But it's only a small fraction of me. What really defines me is my personality, the fact that I'm quite a bright girl, and that I like helping people, public awareness, education about women's projects, because believe me, the surgery I've been through, it would affect any woman's confidence. So it's all about inspiring women that have had cancer, that you can still have a life, you can still do things. Why don't you go and get a degree? You're never too old to learn. And also, you know, you're a woman, yes, you're a woman with cancer, but at the end of the day, the average person that sees me walking down the street wouldn't know I've got cancer. You know, they don't know my story. All they see is a woman with very long hair that looks fairly happy, plodding along. If they knew my story, I think they would be quite surprised, because it's all about carrying on, and it's battling on against the odds, isn't it? I mean, it's like accepting it is what it is. You can't change it. You just have to move forward and try and help other people like yourself. So yeah, I was at Coventry University, best times of my life. Had a bit of a crush on one of my male lecturers. We won't even go there because yeah, he obviously didn't feel the same way, but hey ho. And then March the 24th this year, university just stopped like that. We were all told to go home. University would be online. And so the last semester I spent having chemotherapy. As Carine said earlier, I've just had 7 months of chemotherapy, which really knocked me about, in and out of hospital constantly, all studying online. I was studying whilst having chemotherapy. And then suddenly you're not seeing your lecturers, you're not seeing your friends. You're literally at home feeling quite isolated, and you really have to motivate yourself to sit down and study, because you've got the TV, you've got the radio. There's 101 things that you could be doing except studying and doing essays and swatting for exams. So I would say my last semester was quite a lonely one. We are the first generation that this has happened to. So the university, the lecturers, the support staff didn't know what to do because they've never come across it before. So, they were learning, how do we support our students? And as students, we were learning how to learn online and how to have Zoom conference calls. Because prior to the pandemic, I wasn't the most technical person. I used to panic when I saw like computers and iPads and all this technology. But it's a learning curve, and the last couple of months I'm quite happy with modern technology. In fact, I love it. So that's how much I've changed as a person. I'm not fearing it, I'm actually embracing it. So like I said, yeah, we are the first generation that never graduated. I graduated on September the 25th with a couple of drinks with my sister and a couple of graduation pictures where we lived, literally on the square. We didn't have a summer ball. We had no awards ceremony, absolutely nothing. So in a way, we all feel a bit left out. The minute you start university, you just dream of that big day, don't you? When you wear your cap and gown and you can have a bit of a party with your lecturers and your peers afterwards, and you can all go to the pub and celebrate. There was none of it. And I actually won an award. I won Student Placement of the Year for all my media work, because I did a lot of student radio. Oh, thank you. I did a lot of student radio. I used to write for the student magazine, as well as my work with ITV Central News. And nothing, just a certificate in the post. I'm like, yeah, thanks. But it is what it is. And Coventry University, which is in the very centre of England, not far from Stratford upon Avon and William Shakespeare and all that stuff, has a very high percentage of Chinese students. So obviously, we had to think of each other. And at the time, a lot of the Chinese students were getting picked on. So over the radio show I did, I had to read out a statement from the university principal, just be a bit nicer to our students from China. They don't want all this hatred aimed at them. Because I've got a lot of Chinese friends and they'd be crying their eyes out. And as you know, they're quite timid little girls. They're about a size 6, they're like that, like, wow, I wasn't even a size 6 when I was 6. And they were devastated because they were getting treated appallingly, name calling, looks, spat at. And I had to read out a statement saying, please be kinder, they don't deserve it. But some of the students just thought it was funny to tease and mock them, and to some extent it was bullying. So that was my uni journey. I'm now studying to be a journalist. Yep, still online. I'm at Oxford Home Study College and at Bridgewater and Taunton. I haven't a clue what they look like because I've never been inside the buildings. I just see a picture of them. I don't even know what their library looks like because I can't physically hold a book, because as you know, all libraries in the United Kingdom are closed. So a lot of what I have to research is online or use books that I have already. My cancer journey, I'll keep it nice and light and brief, but it's nearly 2 years since I was diagnosed with bowel cancer. I've had radiotherapy, surgery, chemotherapy. Yes, the cancer has spread. Yes, I've got another benign brain tumor. It is what it is. You can't change it. All you can do is just say, okay, this is what God has for me. It will make me a better sociologist. It will make me a better broadcaster and journalist. And probably that's the way forward. But I can tell you now, the last 7 months, I have been in and out of hospital. I have seen things that I physically and mentally can't share at the moment. I've seen people with COVID. I've seen ambulances parked outside hospitals. One day I will probably, as a journalist, talk about it, but it's still quite raw. It's all still quite new. And I just feel it's something that shouldn't be shared at the moment. But when people online say to me, oh, it doesn't exist, it's the UK government controlling us, it's all to do with Bill Gates or EE, phone companies, you know, I'm like, what planet are you living on? I've actually seen people with COVID. That's all I really want to say. So yeah, you get cancer, you have two choices, you either sink or swim. I decided to swim, and I think the pandemic has made me stronger, because when you're in and out of emergency rooms, we call it accident and emergency in the United Kingdom. But when you're in and out of hospital constantly and they have to put you in a side room away from everybody, and when you do go to hospital because you have cancer, they put you around this big plastic screen, and all the nurses look like something out of a sci-fi movie because they've all got the protective gear on, and they have to be double careful because I'm classed as clinically extremely vulnerable, which means I could easily get COVID, and it would really knock me about. So basically, yeah, you see the NHS for what it really is. It's a free service, it's healthcare, and the doctors, nurses, all the team do a marvelous job. And all I can say is I'm very lucky that the NHS is free, because my treatment now would probably go 50,000 upwards. The amount of treatments I've had, surgery. And if I lived in America, for example, it would bankrupt my family. We would have to sell the house because, as you know, they have to pay for their healthcare. So how fortunate am I to live in a country that has the NHS and I don't have to pay a single penny, not even for my prescriptions, not even for my colostomy bags. And I'm so, so grateful. So what has the pandemic taught me? Well, with my cancer journey, it's taught me that doctors, nurses do a marvelous, marvelous job. They get moaned at a lot, but they don't deserve it because they're all angels. It's also taught me that life is very precious. It's a gift. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, thank you, God, for another day. Every night I go to bed and I'm like, thank you, God. Thank you so much. It makes you see life as a very precious gift, one that can be taken away very quickly. And it makes you live your best life ever. And that's why, you know, I have my cancer blog, because I'm leaving a legacy behind. And in 50 years' time, there'll be some woman that has cancer. She'll pick up my blog by chance and she'll read what it was like. In 50 years' time, my guess is cancer will be like something they can control, and it won't be so devastating as it is now. In the United Kingdom, because of COVID, cancer research has grinded practically to a halt. A lot of cancer patients aren't getting the treatment because of COVID, and it's difficult. I've got to start my second round of tests and scans next year. I probably will get lost in the safety net because it would be predominantly COVID. And I probably will be one of those patients that has to fight to keep my appointment because the consultant has to cancel because he's on the main COVID wards. So it's a catch-22. What's more important, saving the COVID patient or saving the cancer patient? And at the moment, we have nearly 70,000 people in the UK this year alone that have died of COVID. And I've just heard on the news that they're closing the boundary with France. So we would be a little island cut off. So that's quite worrying. Right, on a more happier note, my media journey, COVID has made me realise that as a woman, I can do a lot. I'm a lot stronger than I think I am, a lot braver and also a lot smarter. And being a journalist, you can work from home, which is brilliant because most of the time I have to shield. And except for going out into our local village or going out into our local town, there's not much scope for me to go to big cities. I used to live in Birmingham. That's where I met Carine and Coretta. Birmingham is a very big industrial city, probably similar to Calcutta or Delhi, very similar to Brussels as well. And I had to leave. It was too big, too dangerous. I am now semi-rural, which is lovely. It's a place called the Cotswolds. When you get 5 minutes, Google it, because it's like picture box land. It's very pretty. And I just fell into media by chance. It just happened. It was all predestined. I've always been good at writing. I've always been good at communication, whether verbally or drawing, anything like that. And it just seemed the natural, progressive way for me to go. And it's a career, like I said, where I don't have to get on the train and go to work and put myself at danger. I can work at home, send things via email, do conferences like this, video something, send it to the TV company and they can use it. So it's lovely and I am living my best life. I call it my retirement years because I always wanted to retire to the Cotswolds. We see horses and tractors down our road. I'm like, from outside our window, we can see hills. Imagine how lovely that is for someone that's always grown up in a city and probably only sees a horse or a sheep or a hill when they travel and go out for the day. So yeah, COVID has affected me personally. As a journalist, it's made me tougher. And it's a very tough industry to work in. You've got to have a very good backbone. We did have a good female leader, Theresa May. We've now got Boris Johnson. What can I say? Nicola Sturgeon, she's the Scottish Prime Minister. She's very good. She probably is more good at organising things with the human touch and she shows empathy. She seems to know what to do. And that is why Scotland and England are so different in restrictions and COVID rates. All I can say is hopefully this will end. For me, in January, I'm having the COVID vaccine. I've had my flu jab, I've had my pneumonia, I'm having vitamin D tablets. When I get my COVID jab, it will be a game changer. It means I have a better quality of life. It won't stop me from getting it, but it means I won't get it as bad as what I would have if I hadn't had it. It means having a quality of life, but it looks like we're going to go into a lockdown in the UK until March because people are silly and we're a very small island and we can't cope. And the NHS is stretched to the point of almost breaking. So that is my story. That is my journey. It's just at the very beginning. I mean, in 5 years' time, what journey, what wonderful opportunities would I have had? I just can't believe I passed my degree. I can't believe I'm in media. And like I said to you at the very beginning, a part of me will never really accept I have cancer, that I'm terminally ill, because I don't feel it. I mean, some days I can barely get out of bed, but other days, just normal, always normal. So that's it. So hopefully that was okay.
That was perfect. Thank you very much, Karen. And I know that some people, just to come back briefly on cancer, I know that people with cancer, they are called, some are called extremely vulnerable, which means that they are more at risk of being seriously ill if they develop the COVID-19 infection. And like you've mentioned, I think that this can definitely cause an emotional trauma associated with the COVID-19, especially when you must now manage not only the uncertainty surrounding the prognosis, but anxiety associated with COVID-19, with possible isolation from friends and family,
Yeah.
and interruption with routinely scheduled oncologic care as well. And I think that you've explained how you've experienced somehow that fear and anxiety associated with the COVID. So can you say that social media somehow help you throughout this period, that new technology help you with that this period, throughout this period, to keep in touch with people?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got friends all over the world, and we often do Zoom calls. A lot of my meetings with media companies, with the BBC, with ITV, like this online. What the hard thing is for me, I won't be able to see my mum and dad this Christmas. In the United Kingdom, we all have tiers. Tier 4 is London, extremely high risk. My mum and dad live in Birmingham, which is a tier 3. I live in Gloucestershire, which is tier 2. You can't jump over tiers. You've got to stay in your tier. So basically, I won't see my mum and dad, my cousins, my friends in Birmingham and Coventry. It is hard. But I mean, you've got FaceTime, you've got Zoom. Imagine if we didn't
Yes.
have this, it'd be so tough.
It was.
But I think with journalism, it is more and more online. And as my disability advisor said to me, you've picked the right career, Karen, because I'll never be able to work in a shop or at an airport or work on board a plane again, because it will always be deemed too risky for me. And I've been told this, and this was really hard for me to accept. I am now classed as disabled. I get benefits, I get lots of things, and it will get worse. My situation will get worse, and that's hard. And also, they said if you do get COVID, because you're classed as having advanced cancer, terminally ill, if there's one ventilator, they will have to play God and make a decision. Do we give it to the healthy 25-year-old that plays rugby, or do we give it to the girl that's terminally ill with cancer? And you know which way they're going to go. So that's why I just don't want to get it, because I know if I go to hospital, they will have to play God. At the moment, Gloucestershire Royal, which is a small hospital, has 200 people in hospital very, very poorly. And I'm led to believe about 20 of them are on ventilators, and they've only got 2 more ventilators. And then the patients will have to go into Oxford, because Gloucestershire is a very small community. It's very rural. If I get COVID, I probably would have to go to Oxford, to John Radcliffe, because Gloucestershire Royal is just overwhelmed. And that's horrible, isn't it? To think that, I have to watch myself. I can't go to Gloucester. I can't even go to Cheltenham. I have to watch myself, because if I get COVID and very poorly, I would just be left in a room. I don't want to end like that. Don't want to go like that at all.
And thank you, Karen, for your sharing. I don't know if the other speakers, they have a comment or question for Karen.
It was indeed a very, very inspiring and motivational speech. You said it was your first.
The first one.
It was awesome. And I feel so lucky hearing your story that, and my heart, you touched my heart really. When you said that NHS has to take a decision whether the ventilator needs to go to a cancer patient or to a COVID patient. And I understand that, probably you have too much of courage, Karen. You are fighting real strong, and hats off to you.
Thank you. It's always lovely to be a part of these women's groups and meetings. Like I said, in 5 years' time, I'll still be around. I'm not going to go just yet. There's enough technology and medication out there to keep me going, probably for forever. The amount of people on these cancer wards that have been going for 10, 12 years. So in 5 years' time, watch this space.
A fighter always wins. That is what I truly believe.
What's that? Sorry.
A fighter will always win. So keep fighting.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely.
And thank you for listening. It was, like I said, my first time ever.
Oh, it was really touching, Karen. I've been following you since I met you in Birmingham. I met Sophia as well, Coretta, and congratulations for your award and your journalism journey. This is the first thing I would like to tell you. I know that you work really, really hard. Congratulations for your study path as well. It's never too late, and you're very smart. Never doubt it. And you are very inspirational, and I know that you do help others get through their illness. That's how I feel it. And I think that for you as well, I think that helping others gives you more power and strength. And every time I see you, every time I see your post or I talk to you or we chat, there's only one thing coming to my mind. And this thing is that the best thing to do is take one day at a time, be positive, pick your head up when you're down, and remember, what may seem like the most devastating news in your life can always open new doors to a whole new world of possibilities. And this is how I feel whenever I see your post, whenever we chat. And thank you so very much for being here tonight and for sharing this inspirational story with us.
I would like also to...
Not the last one. Yes, Sophia.
Karen, thank you so much for your speech, and congratulations for this first time. It was amazing. I loved all the points you made in the sections, and especially what it really grasped my total focus to that congruently, body, mind, and soul, is when you say, like, I write my blog for my story with cancer, and maybe in 50 years ahead, somebody will read my post and will find strength out of that. And how people with cancer or during the COVID times were dealing with the situation. I found this amazingly inspiring as a mission and legacy, as on top of what you amazingly described.
Thank you. Yeah, one of my friends did say to me a couple of days ago, said, you are leaving a legacy. And she says, Karen's going to live on forever, like the stars in the sky. Karen's always going to live on forever because of all the things that you're doing. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Karen. So our next speaker is our Greek speaker, who is actually in Brussels, Belgium, Dr. Sophia Beloka. Sophia is an executive performance consultant and an academic in exercise physiologist, Ph.D. She is also a high-performance healer, supporting leaders to perform at their best with no chronic stress or pain, nor the fear of losing their relationships on their way to hit their next biz records and influence at their fullest potential to serving the globe. Please welcome Miss, or should I say, Dr. Sophia Beloka.
Thank you, Carine, and everyone. I'm very happy to be in this panel and share with my co-host. Thank you so much for being here and for the invitation, Carine. I love seeing the faces that I've met back to Birmingham. Hopefully, last year when we could travel, and hopefully we can again. So I got very inspired by your topic. Thank you so much, Carine, for organizing this. So this year, 2020, for me was, I think, as for many people, a very catalytic year, was a catalyst, I believe. Although at the beginning, we might have been very, very surprised by what is happening and questioning what exactly it is happening. So, you know, like 3 years ago, I was listening a podcast, one of my favorite global entrepreneurs who solve global issues, Peter Diamandis, and was inspired by what he was saying, how the future will be and our way of living, because soon we will be expand our life, the average of our life extension, so we will live longer and we will travel in space. And I put like a target that I want to travel in space. I want to live long enough to travel in space. And that moment I got inspired, saying like, oh, wait a minute, for a person, for a human of Earth to be able to travel in space to these extraterrestrial concepts, it's very crucial to be able to handle mentally and emotionally this new reality that we're gonna deal with, supposedly that we're in a spaceship traveling. Therefore, I got inspired of the triad system, which is literally the physical, mental, and emotional solid foundational performance in order for somebody to be able to travel into these different mental perceptions and dimensions. And when the pandemic spread out, when the pandemic came, I realized that this is a new space where people, in order to deal with this new reality, we need really to be mentally, emotionally, and physically strong in our solid foundation to be able to adapt to these external triggers that we had to deal and come along with the lockdown, isolation, and this crisis. So 2020 for me was very challenging also on this foundational level, and I kind of the lesson that I got was that what we are experiencing in our life, it's literally experiences, and whether we consider it bad or good, it really depends on our perceptions, programmings, and where we really come from. And once we have this capacity to stay solid and in the core source, we can be able to deal with whatever is coming, whether it's too exciting or whether it's too extreme, too sad, like death or like life. And it was very deep, because it was kind of taking me the first 3 months to extreme happiness, and the next 3 months to extreme lows, and the next 3 months again really high, and again really low. And this had to do a lot with, of course, with my business that was thriving at the beginning of 2020, with my relationship that was amazing. I got pregnant spontaneously, like miraculously, and all the other areas, like health-wise, physically very good, and financially in the growth. So when the lockdown came in March, I kind of saw it like an opportunity to do all the things that I didn't have maybe the time to do the other times, like finish unfinished things, like write a book or analyze new data for a new publication article, or organize new things, and also turn my business model more into the online, which I thankfully had done since 2018, but it was more opportunity to really boost it into the online. And on the other side there, I had to deal with a miscarriage during the lockdown, which was a total isolation period. So it was kind of, it was a kind of questioning, inner question, like there must be a reason why I have to go through this now, where I had to go alone to the hospital without my partner. And in the hospital, we were very, very few people, like 5 or 10 people, and be alone and really turn inwards and process all these informations in that solitude, and to analyze a subject of miscarriage that is a really taboo, as far as I realized, even in 2020. So, and then it was also the business model that had to shift, and also financial wise, also, you know, like other sources of financial incomes that had to adapt, not only for me, but also for many, many people that were struggling with that. And to really re-establish a foundation of relationships. So coming closer to relationships with the people who really counted, and also be able to dare to disengage maybe with relationships that literally were just superficial and not serving a real purpose. So I got more in depth with my mission, which was literally to help people become more self-governed. And I saw that moment I was invited to reestablish my self-governance and to become really authority of ourselves instead of following authorities, external authorities that might not really be at our best service, as well as our management with media, other TV media or social media, and literally be our own researcher and investigator of what is really true or what is really happening. So I was, and then when the new lockdown, when the first lockdown was terminated, and you know, like liberation came again, I had the opportunity to do things that in the past I wouldn't do because I thought that's not possible. But it was literally seeing how the lockdown and this crisis had really shifted already perceptions. For example, I took 3 months and I literally went to my country, to Greece, like while working online, and was really a possibility to do, because right now all the teleworking and online business development is really a blessing for those who want to try, because also there are people who don't wish to try this model, and that's totally fine. I could travel to 10 Greek islands, which I've never done in my life. So that was a good opportunity to do and connect even deeper and travel with my partner and with the family there. And the most amazing was, you know, I'm from Greece, and I totally, most of the time I've spent a lot in the city, in Athens, but also in the countryside. And after having spent like 3 months in an apartment like this in the background, you know, I went to my village and I saw the mountains and the nature and the villages like I was seeing for the first time. And I've been there like for 42 years, as long as I live. And I was like, oh my God, were the mountains always so high, so gorgeous? The village is so nice. And I had like, oh my God, I say like, imagine what an isolation in an apartment can do to a person. And to be honest, I consider myself to be in a good situation. I cannot imagine like for other people who had more disadvantaged, let's say, lockdown circumstances. And then when in November, we came back here because the lockdown was starting again in Greece very strictly. I entered in the apartment and I felt that the wall was hitting my nose. So again, that narrow environment was literally hitting in a cellular level, not just in the eyesight. So it has this very sudden and ups and downs, which really get me in the conclusion that is very important for our human nature to understand that this is an experience, and whether we want to use it negatively or positively it depends on us. And we can shift that with working on our perceptions, working our emotional mastery, and of course our programmings from social, familiar, cultural, religious origins, and at the level that each one of us chooses. So, and the other amazing thing was to really observe how many people were going through this phase like healthy, let's say, or like were presenting symptoms either of COVID or of various other diseases, and also people who literally were dying and choose to not be any longer with us. And that amazed me about the human miracle and the life and the blessings of the life. Now, on another note, a bit more general, I could see that a new model of leadership was forming, and that the old paradigm of leadership is kind of collapsing. And literally in March, I was speaking about that the new model of leader needs to have this solid foundation in order to be able to adapt, to be flexible, and to reestablish the situations and the new circumstances that are forming in order to deal with the new reality, because we all feel after the second lockdown that we're not going back to normal, unfortunately. And I am a very big traveler, either through my work or personal, and this has literally shifted a lot the fact that it's not really easy and possible to travel to the destination that I would desire. Like, for example, to come to Mauritius would be really difficult at that moment. Hopefully we can go again soon. And to realize that like external comfortable actions and decisions that maybe could make us more fulfilling and give importance and give like fulfillment in our life do not really exist. They're not possible for the moment for obvious reasons, and we really need to look internally. And how do I feel fulfilled, and how do I feel like solid into my own, first of all, leadership, when I don't have all these external pleasures, facilities, distractions, even or habits. So where do I find my fulfillment, where I am here and now, without being able to do my usual hobbies or lives? So I literally see like the leadership, and especially for women, is shifting a lot. And I'm happy to say that I see more and more women getting out there, become more visible, more public, speaking about their message and their truth and their presence, which is very, very revolutionary and important. Therefore, we still have a lot to observe and see and conclude, of course, but I'm sure that we are living amazing and interesting moments, and to see what will bring also next. Well, yeah, I have many other things to say. Like, if you have any questions in advance, I can really continue. Trust was another big thing that I believe that came to be like the trust, to trust in ourselves, and to trust also of other people and the sources that we were listening also, and how can we find our personal mastery between and among the storm.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Sophia. And first of all, I'd like to say that I'm truly sorry for all the events you've been through lately. I totally hear you. And I'm happy that you're able to overcome all these events, and that I wanted to ask you before. I wanted to ask you, do you feel like being changed? Do you feel different from the woman you were before, and how different are you now after all these events you've been through?
Yeah, definitely. So, as I entered the lockdown, I was still pregnant. So, as I said, I was trying to take advantage of this lockdown time in order to think like, okay, who do I want to become when this lockdown ends? And to reestablish my purpose, my mission, and to see like what really fulfills me in life. And I had also other people who were also questioning this, because suddenly we came up with the question, who do I really want to become? Because like it was like really a shift, external and obliging us internal to reestablish. So I was really intending to go out and be the leader and inspire people and help people and assist people who really were losing it, really were like really collapsing. And I really wanted to help those people, either through my Facebook groups or Facebook Lives or speak. And then this miscarriage arrives, and I'm like, okay, this is a time to concentrate now at myself, because if I cannot be at my top solid foundational, I cannot be really the leader example for others. Therefore, it really, I believe that pregnancy is an amazing period for every woman, whoever chooses to, among other experiences, of course, that really expands our consciousness and awareness, the amazement of life and the amazement of the human body and the female body. And it was amazing to get in much more deeper connection with my own body and with my partner, of course. And to see also the interaction, the effect that other people had to the news of that, because I shared with some friends. Of course, I knew that it was still early, and at any time it could be, it was not sure, okay? As we know that a pregnancy can be stopped at any point. And then, so I was trying to take the day by day life. And that was a big lesson, to be able to take life day by day and not be in a hurry to plan, like, you know, ahead of time, like in the 9 months or later. And like when the miscarriage was announced, because literally I was announced by the doctor, I didn't have any kind of feelings or symptoms. Just the doctor told me there's no heartbeat, I'm very sorry. So it was literally like a confusion of, you know, what you were living in a spiritual world and what you're living in physical world, the reality, you know, it's like, whoa. It was, I cannot explain it very well with words, but it was like a shift of grids, a shift of reality, parallel realities that were not matching any longer. And then I felt like as a person, I tried to find it not as, you know, like to stay in my victim. Of course, there is pain and a grief period and the emotional turmoil that's happening. I was feeling very good in my body, like I didn't have body symptoms really, not something heavy. And I got in the hospital, I was under anesthesia, so I really didn't understand anything. It was very the emotional turmoil and my mental focus. And my work was literally big therapy. Also my exercise, because I continue moving other with clients, what I do with movement, with exercise. So it was really calming my emotions, pumping my body, so detoxifying and working to the emotions. So I was astonished how taboo that was, because I was speaking it, you know, expressing to the people who knew or didn't know, like, oh, I had a miscarriage. And actually, when I saw people getting it really hard to speak or to communicate, I saw that, okay, so the reaction that people have towards us has nothing to do with us, but it has to do with each person emotional maturity. And that's fine. I mean, at the beginning I got very angry, saying like, I'm always there for people, and I will always, like, people call me to say, okay, I have this problem, what should I do? Just, you know, to ask for assistance and help. And I was astonished that my close people didn't have the words or couldn't really give me an advice or a word to pull me up, because I really wanted to stay up from the, you know, the sea, and not be with people that were pulling me down, like, oh, poor you've tried so much, la 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 la. But I really needed the assistance of people who could respect the situation, but could pull me up and say, okay, express what you want to express. How do we use this? What can we do from now on? And not stay, crying or pour me into this victim consciousness that cannot share for long. Of course, you have to grieve and process the emotions and realize what's happening. But how do we move on? And that can be in everyone's philosophy. My philosophy in life, because I'm always into performance world, is like every experience helps me to challenge myself and expand myself and grow further. So I use that also for this purpose. And I became more intuitive. Let's say also a bit more. My psychic gifts opened up much more. I became more patient and really take life, as I said before, like day by day. And I think like this year also has taught us this, has taught us exactly also that, go day by day, because we don't know how the COVID goes. And also my personal experience helped me also that. And also to accept help from other people. And also, from men. Leader women will have a challenge to accept that accept help, safety, or security from men, or even to ask for help. That was also another one. So I went to professionals and asked for help, and I experimented with people who didn't know. So afterwards, they would come in, and I had to tell them, "Oh, my pregnancy. How's your pregnancy? My pregnancy is interrupted. Let's move on." So I use it as an experiment to see, like, okay, if this person asks me and I'm still triggered emotionally, that means that I still have, some not some work, but some patience to do with myself and my feelings and how to process that. So I also use that as an experimentation phase for myself. And I got inspired also to help also other women who had that, because many women came to me very secretly, in a personal message. "Oh, I had that, and you have to rest." But still, I could feel their pain, that they hadn't got over it yet. And I was very surprised, even after 10 and 20 years with kids already. And I've heard amazing stories of women who had like a child and they had 5 miscarriages and keep going, and had another child afterwards, like a friend of mine who came after his mother had 5 miscarriages. So I found how amazing stories there are kept in secret with that taboo discussions that there are.
That's okay. Coretta, I think you've got a question for Sophia.
Yes, I want to first say I'm very sorry about this, but I also want to say to you how I'm so proud of you, because you said, I got help, and sometimes when we experience these type of traumatic situations in life, we want to first keep it private, and we have the right to do so. And secondly, we realize that the help we're seeking is also the help we can be giving. And so in that, I want to say thank you. As the same token, I say I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Coretta. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other question or comment? No? So thank you very much, Sophia, and thank you for voicing out on miscarriage. And yes, it's definitely this subject is still a bit taboo, very taboo, I must say. And I know that many women will recognize themselves through you, and they will definitely be inspired by your courage and your strength and the hope that you've been sharing with us in this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Understanding is something that occurs very often to women. And it's something that we literally keep very private. Of course, it's respectful to everyone's journey and help. But I believe that this, as Coretta emphasized, it's very important to ask for help. I also emphasize that. And also, like, a lot of people, like, if they knew they had somebody else who had nothing miscarriage, they call me to say, should I call that person? What should I do? And my advice is, if you really feel that you want to call, just call and the words will be found. And if this person is not ready to talk yet, we will not respond the call, but for sure to remember that you called, instead of waiting for that person not necessarily to call you when he's ready. Because I believe that when we are, and a lot of women here, we are with our own story, I believe that when we are in our grief and loss and crisis moments, it's very difficult also to think objectively, and I've seen that also in suicidal moments, our mental judgments, it's normal, get very low to consider what is useful, or even very difficult to ask for help at that moment.
And I would just like to conclude that asking for help is it's a kind of self-therapy. And sometimes we keep too much and we don't really find the right path. And I know that talking, voicing out can definitely help in our recovery. So thank you very much for sharing this very, very inspiring message tonight, Sophia. Thank you so very much. So we'll move on now with our last speaker from Mumbai, India. Namaskar. Good evening.
Namaskar.
So Dr. Joshna Singh is a psychologist and a psychotherapist. Additionally, she is an author, a writer, and a researcher. Dr. Joshna is also a fellow member of the Indian Women Scientists Association. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much. Good evening and namaste, because our Indian culture always we say namaste. And thank you so much, Dr. Carine. Is very wonderful and beautiful talk after that. And thank you all of, and a very heart-touching story you're doing, and such a wonderful you do the job. So it's my experience. I say my experience is very little bit, because it's a COVID-19 is my vacation period. I can say, because last 10 years I never take one single day holidays. So I always say when I get the holiday, because of the my research work, my college, and my practice. Every time I've been stuck with something. So it's this time is I started learning about cooking, because I love cooking. As is earlier time that I couldn't get the time to shoot, and I will always remember this lockdown as a golden opportunity, because I got a lot of opportunity. And now will the groom the white develop it my personality also. I learn. So Priya ma'am, all I said learning, developing and all. So I usually I also, because I always say I'm a student. I'm always learning. Each and every person, for example, child also, kids also, but I'm learning. And it also gained the experience of the confidence in my domain, my psychologist, because a lot of challenge in this pandemic. And I saw the many people are lost the job and business, everything, and especially in a child, because of they are not going outside, they're schooling on online, and parent also worried about what happened over the next time, because it is the last 9 months we are sitting at home and all. So, and I got 2 awards also for the researcher, and as a young researcher. IDEO is one of the organizer for the scientist, especially in the scientist. And I, beside this, I got 5 more recognition for the psychology in my domain. In the Corona virus, I got a coronavirus for the state government also. And I can say it's my very happy. I'm not happy. Happy means it's for myself only, because I want to learn something. I always say I learn something for the behind, for the not only for my domain, other thing also. But I never get the time and all. But now, the last 9 months, I got a lot of opportunity. I took a 300 webinar in this 9 months, because of the need to the mentally is a boost up, and emotionally boost up, and everything, because physical with mind is always we take care for daily. It's not a one day. And I such a measure in the mental health is tied to work with the strategy, practical, and responding of COVID-19 cases is measure of the in India, for the worried about what happened the next time, and the quality of the make the woman a great leader for the, because I am also associated with the Indian Women Scientists Association, and I as a good speaker, and I always say what the exactly what to do the mind care and emotionally booster. So emotionally booster we I can share you the some points for the all of her for are the increasing and strongly emotionally, and the mentally, and the physically also. So first tip is emotionally binging. Binging means eating disorder, and all of us they eat too much from the time to time, because of a lockdown period is a we hungry, because we are not do anything for the home, means many of the housewife is not doing work and all. So but if you are regularly overeating while the feeling of out of the control and powerless to the stop, you may be suffering from the binge and eating disorder. Binge eating disorder is a common to eat disorder where the frequently eat and powerless to stop the extremely distraught and during the after the eating. You may be eat the point of the discomfort, be be the plug by the feeling of guilt, seeing on depression, and afterwards the beat the yourself up your the lack of the self-control, or worry about the what the compassion is eating and will be the your body. And second tips is a nature fresh. You just go to gardening and the watering, and which is I love actually. Fresh your body, mind, soul with the walk in nature and talk with nature, and relaxing the energetic the exercise to the busy schedule, because we are a busy, we are the all of are the working, or even housework maker also a lot of work in day, because is never sitting in the ideal. And third is describe the concrete jungle by the in a busy traffic and messy crowd in less at night, and there is some hidden walk and trial to the candidates discover the mother nature beauty, feel fresh oxygen in our lungs. So whether you have become a long time too healthy. And third is brain food. Brain food, why we call up brain food? We need to brain also eating. I'm into brain tonic. Is a brain tonic. And following the healthy being well balanced to diet to the good for the physical and beneficially or your brain benefit, your brain healthy. And certain food can be the nutrition at the keep of the brain healthy, including health fats, fibers, protein, vitamin, antioxidant, and these are the nutrition of the enhance your memory and concentrate you more and more strongly your mentally and physically, because both health is very important. And third is a thought leader. Thought leaders, we are always thinking or overthinking too much, think what happened in the future, worried about the future. But don't do this, just chill and just go with the flow. Thought leaders is generally a pioneer on a new ideas rather than follow the overthinking and wisdom. and the use of the authority to the influence their the area of expertise to the generate revenue themselves, and then the organizers to the create the value of entity and creative mind. You always do the creative work. Creative is very important in our life, because our life is very precious and valuable. Utilize the proper way. Don't waste the time for the anything. Do anything, but do just self. I mean, to self love is very important. I learned this pandemic and lockdown some me time. Me time means myself. It's very important. Very important is me time, because we are not get the time for ourselves. So very important for the, I think so it's a 1 hour is important for the our day. I mean our is very important. And third is a mini exercise. You don't do the hour to hour exercise. If you have no time, just do it a 5 to 10 minutes, stretch the our body, and just do it a relaxation. You do the relaxation also, you do the meditation, yoga, anything. Just do the 10 to 15 minutes only. That's enough. Your body, your mind, and always we are visible and vibes. For example, this platform also vibes is very energetic and positive. So we need to the good environment, because body and mind need only for environment. So very important. And I'm not taking a much time, so thank you so much, Carine. Thank you.
Thank you
I think
very
so.
much.
Yeah, because I want to question, so would be better for I love to the answer.
But I have some questions for you, if you don't mind answering them, more on the let's say the mental aspects of the COVID. And like we've mentioned, for example, all the speakers here, it's true that the past month have testified generalized public fear and anxieties due to uncertainty, fatality, and lack of public health preparedness. And I wanted to ask you, Joshna, could you tell us about the impact of this unprecedented environment on mental health of individuals and communities in India?
In India, is the the many people has lost the job. First thing, because of is a shut down the all the shops and companies also. So it's a very bad impact in our mental health. So I just want to for example, I give you one of the my patient I just counsel, and after that I ask what happened after the lockdown, the start after the start the all the running your business and all. So he said, uh, I thought I asked, you just start the zero wise. So he said, no, it's not a zero wise. I have experience last 20 years. I start the 20 my experience only, not a zero day. I mean, not starting at zero. I have my 20 years experience. I do the, I know that my confidence and my positivity. So I'm doing a well. I know that because of God is, he is believing in a God. God is giving a lot of things in my life. So this time.
Lots of opportunities as well.
Yes.
Could you say that the people, they somehow, I know that in India we very spiritual, very religious as well.
Yes.
So can you say that the people are somehow very positive about the future despite the crisis, despite the pandemic?
As a people, people are very positive, but I can say some people are saying it's not again a start because of that family, society, mindset. Everything is count. It's not a particular person. All family and depend the person to person, what they are thoughts and they are doing whatever the culture. So depend the culture and family and society and everything. It's not a compulsory one person and who has a positive person, because I am a positive person, but not compulsory other person is very positive. That's so depend the person, but I say I suggest you just whatever you in 9 months, whatever you're stuck in, I mean you're stuck in whatever the lockdown in stop your working and whatever shop and whatever you have, but you just enhance your skill in 9 months. Don't waste your time. Is opportunity always knocking you whenever. Just wait and watch. That's enough. Thank you.
Thank you. And the other thing I wanted to point out, since we have a psychologist with us, so we know that the situation provided children and adolescents with the perfect conditions for solitude and increased internet use. And I know that many parents are concerned about the effect of school closure, social distancing, and increased internet use on their children's mental health. And so the increased opportunity for internet use makes it more difficult for parents to control their access, and frequent and unsupervised internet use is often associated with self-harm and suicidal behavior in adolescents with psychological risk factors. And Dr. Joshna, as a psychologist, could we say that for the general population at large, the mental health effects of COVID-19 are as important to address as the physical health effects?
Yes, definitely. Yes, I agree, because we stuck in at home. I mean, in Mumbai, Mumbai is a very small houses. It's not a big, so we don't go any walk, exercise, anything. And internet, we can say internet is a reference. I mean, is Google is a reference only for use for the reference. Don't take the much in your life. And we can say I can say it's a normalize. Just environment is very important. I already said environment is very important for your child, your family, your society, your friends, everything. It's not if you are negative, the one person is negative, the whole family is negative. So don't do this. And just be relaxed and cool, because everything is fine. Everything is fine when your thoughts is coming up. uh, Everything is fine, so always you're fine. Don't say okay, this is don't blame it, government is not doing, or my husband is not doing, and my child is not listening me. So don't think. It's very relaxed and very cool and calm, because it's very important. After that you just go, after the lockdown and everything is fine, you just uh, you say, wow, this is my life. Because it's 9 months, we thought the very good. I mean, I'm so much learning and developing myself also. And this is my vacation period. I always say this is my vacation period.
And thank you. And uh, can we say that there's no general rules in the way the people will react to the COVID-19? And of course, some people will be more affected than others in certain aspects. So would you somehow encourage frontline health workers in COVID-19 community screening teams, teachers and parents to detect recent changes in behavior, substance use, and excessive isolation among children and adolescents?
See, as per the psychological aspect, COVID-19 is many people are. It's a very stuck in the. I mean, it's a COVID, but those people are saying, I have COVID. I have COVID. It's a fear. Who are the COVID? It's not compulsory every person, because I'm also going to hospital now. So I'm just precaution at the mask and sanitizer everything. But you just take care yourself, and don't impact your mind only. Or you just don't say, I got COVID. I got a COVID. Don't fear. just relax and do the whole the whatever you want. Just listen your heart. For example, I'm starting at my dancing also. So I love dance because I'm a Rajput family. So in India, is the Rajput family is a very big community. So I like it, the Rajput type of the dancing and all. Just do it and enjoy yourself. That's more important.
So basically, we should encourage more family
Yes,
activities
yes.
and
Both the mental health and physical health, both very, very important. Don't neglect anything. I mean, the physical is balancing. Balancing is very important.
very good. Thank you very much. Ladies, do you have any question for Dr. Joshna? Coretta, please.
I don't have a question. I just have a really great comment. I mean, a comment for something great you said. You said, don't overthink, just chill out. True. If we just take that and just really say, okay, you know, just chill out. And, you know, back to Sophia, I wanted to remind myself, I have to look at my notes. You said sometimes you have to take one day at a time. Let me tell you what I have learned. Sometimes you just have to take 1 hour at a time. You just got to get through the next hour and then the next hour. So chill out and just go little by little. That's all. I tell you, what a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful talk, Dr. Singh. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So ladies, we've reached the end of this discussion. Very, very inspiring stories. Thank you so very much for your time and contribution. So what we've shown during this video conference is that we advocate for leadership style that is more consensus building, caring, more open and inclusive, and more likely to encourage participation by others. When women join leadership teams, there is an increase in leadership qualities like empathy, compassion, communication, and collaboration become part of the DNA of any organization or event. Yes, Coretta.
I just want to say that with everything that we've learned today, there is a common theme, and it's mindset. And with that, I wanted to, I forgot to say it before, so forgive me, but I just wanted to add mindset. In the beginning, you mentioned a common thread, and definitely we all touched on mindset.
Thank you very much. And we must say that we also strongly believe that everyone, men and women, should be able to achieve their greatest potential. And us women, we need to know early on in our lives that we can be leaders and we should not limit ourselves. So on this, I will conclude this the video conference by saying inequality is no longer an option. Thank you very much. And on behalf of Aurora by Jennings-Ferreira Limited, we wish you all a Merry Christmas and a prosperous and happy New Year 2021. Hopefully we get the opportunity to do another video conference in 2021, should the borders be closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Bye. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye. Take
Bye.
care. Yeah. Bye. Good night.
Good night.